Hello, I'm H, and this is Rewind, a distillation of the better parts of Manx Radio over the last month or so, and still almost 30 minutes long. This evening, we'll be casting our ears back over a few weeks which have seen some pretty stormy weather, causing disruption, upset, frustration and anger for some. But it's not all just politics. We hear some haunting stories from those involved in the recovery of the crew of the Solway Harvester 25 years ago. Hear from the founder of the incredibly successful Beach Buddies charity about its humble beginnings. Some different views on artificial intelligence, both sides of the age divide there, and 20 years of a song for man. I'd like to be here again to celebrate the wonderful output of your nation's station. Yes, I know you're all listening to the opposition half of the time, but we're talking quality here, not quantity. Though there is, in fact, a lot of top quality broadcasting going on every week here on Manx Radio. You just sometimes have to seek it out a bit more, as it might be on at a time when you're working, or at the gym, or at the pub. And that's where the Manx Radio podcasts come in handy. Pretty much everything you'll hear this evening is available in full as a podcast. If you're a podcast fan, well, I'm not going to teach Granny to suck eggs. If you've never tried a podcast, the easiest thing to do is just go to the Manx Radio website, click on podcasts with a P, and away you go. Even I can use it. It's that easy. By and large, it has to be said that compared to our neighbours across the water or further across the pond, the morning dose of politics in the breakfast programme is worthy, almost certainly important to some section of the community, earnest, treated with respect. But in terms of compelling excitement and unpredictability, it's right up there with the Lord's Prayer. Not so the last couple of weeks, when suddenly breakfast's political coverage became listened to with even more enthusiasm and anticipation than the obituaries.
Well, the time has just gone at 8:20. As we told you a few moments ago, Manx Radio understands the Chief Minister has commenced a reshuffle of his cabinet. Our political correspondent Phil Gaughan is with us. Phil, we are thinking an announcement with more details is imminent shortly. Do we have any more news on this?
We do. What we have just been told is that the Treasury Minister has stepped down. So the Chief Minister thanks the Treasury Minister, Dr Allinson, for his input, but says there are divergences in policy matters. And I think that's been a pretty open secret now for a year or two, that the Treasury Minister and the Chief Minister perhaps sit on different sides of the political fence on many, many issues. So a big surprise, I suppose, because we're about to enter, this is the January Tynwald week, so within a month we're going to be hearing the budget from a new Treasury Minister.
What does that mean for the budget process then? Because we know work starts on the budget so many months in advance. It's going to be pretty much all done by now, isn't it?
It will be all done, but it could be very briefly undone. It basically, I would say, whoever is going to be the new Treasury Minister will have a very short period, possibly a week, to make changes. But I'm guessing if there is this split in Council of Ministers, there probably are two sides, and the other side has been well considered. So it could be relatively straightforward to remove one element of the budget and stick another element in instead. But that's speculation at this stage. It will depend, obviously, on who the new Treasury Minister is going to be. But yes, that is the breaking news. The Treasury Minister, Dr Alex Allinson, the Ramsey MHK, has stepped down from his role. So
that suggests then that is Alex Allinson's decision. If he has stepped down, do we know if it is his decision or has this come from the Chief Minister?
Well, that's something, again, we can speculate. It's better to step down, isn't it, than be sacked.
Stepped down. An age-old political euphemism for jumping off the cliff rather than being actually shoved off it. Minutes later, there was this, and political correspondent Phil Gaughan, racking up huge amounts of overtime, was back.
More things are happening here on the Isle of Man. Sian, you're with us again.
Yes, the reshuffle of the Council of Ministers that we heard about earlier, that is continuing, and we've just heard in the last few minutes that the Infrastructure Minister, Dr Michelle Haywood, has stepped down from her ministerial responsibilities with immediate effect. A statement from government goes on to say that thanking Dr Haywood for her contribution to government over the last 15 months, the Chief Minister commented, over recent months it's been clear there have been a number of policy matters which have caused considerable friction between the government, Tynwald and elements of our society. It's my opinion that these matters need to be addressed and can no longer be left to resolve themselves through protracted political arguments. I would like to thank, the Chief Minister goes on to say, Dr Haywood for her work across what is a complex and large department over the last year and wish her well for the future. Phil is with us as well. Phil Gaughan, our political correspondent. What's your reaction to this?
Well, I suppose to a certain extent it's not a surprise because of basically what you've just read out. That said, people like politicians that get on and do stuff. That's what they say anyway. And Michelle Haywood, if she has done nothing else, she has got on and done things. She has grasped thorny nettles. She has pushed forward with a whole raft of policies and initiatives. And so, yes, interesting to see that that hasn't perhaps gone down as well as it might have done.
A master of the understatement are Phil, and proof that people don't always like what they claim they want. And of course proof, if it were needed, that it's easy to be a politician if you just make lots of noise from the backbenches, much harder when you actually do something. That was all on breakfast on the 18th of January with the unflappable duo of Ben and Sian. The next day, former Minister Michelle Haywood was in the studio to talk about why she'd decided to step down, and gave her thoughts on her successor, the boomerang man Tim Crookall. Happy to have left, Michelle? I think we got the impression not. She was, as I think it's fair to say, she has been throughout her 14 months in office, whether you agree with her or not, frank and direct.
Let's talk about your, predecessor and now successor, Tim Crookall, coming back into the Department of Infrastructure for a third time as Minister of DOI in this administration. Your thoughts regarding that appointment?
Well, I'd hope it was her third time lucky, but we know that Mr Crookall resigned from Comin the last time he resigned because he didn't like the transport strategy that the department was bringing through, even though that was a document that when he was Minister in June 24 he'd actually signed off on, and there have been no fundamental changes to that document between where he signed it and where I brought it forward to Tynwald. So I'm not sure that he's always a details man. I'm not sure that he reads the papers that he's given enough to make sensible comment or to guide it, and I expect that what he will do is sit there now and just bide out the time to the election and not achieve anything, which is a real shame because there were so many work streams ongoing in the department that were going to deliver so much.
When you picked up from Mr Crookall as DOI Minister in November 2024, what state was the portfolio in at that point when you took on the DOI Minister role?
I describe it as having the longest to-do list that anyone's ever seen because there were a number of Tynwald commitments and there were a number of Island Plan commitments that just weren't being delivered on. I have, during my tenure tried to move all of those forward, supporting the officers in different areas to deliver, and actually there are a number of things that have moved on substantively during my time there.
In the last 6 years, the list of DOI ministers is long. Ray Harmer, Tim Baker, Tim Crookall, Chris Thomas, Tim Crookall, yourself, and now Tim Crookall again. I think we've covered all of them there. What is it about the department that seems to go through ministers at an absolute rate of knots? I don't think anybody on that list really did more than a year as DOI minister.
I got just over the year.
Just over, yeah.
I know. I describe the department as unfinished business. I've been looking forward to, so it would get to September and an election. And I think I'd been asked on Andy Wint's show about whether I would come back to DOI, and I most certainly would have done. I think it takes a little bit of time to understand the complexity and the breadth of the department, but it also takes a clear vision for leadership and governance and structure in order to manage that workload. It's a horrendous workload, don't get me wrong. I think I mostly do 80-hour weeks and I won't have that anymore. But actually, it's a department that is manageable. It's a department, though, that you need to take your time with and understand that you have engineers and experts in every region that you're dealing with who all have slightly different perspectives on how they're going to achieve their goals.
No doubt about it. You worked very hard in your time as Minister. Yourself and Alex Allinson, interestingly, from our point of view, we found you certainly some of the most communicative ministers. Some within Comyn during this administration haven't spoken to us very much. They've sort of ignored interview requests, but you were sort of always here when we asked. Yourself and the Treasury Minister, you always accepted invites to come on to Man in Line. You engaged with the electorate on social media. Do you think the fact that you have been so talkative and communicative has played a part in your downfall? Do you think the Chief Minister didn't like that?
I'm not sure if I know what the Chief Minister does or doesn't like, to be fair. I think in the year that I was in my post, the actual one-to-one conversations I had with the Chief Minister probably were, I can count them on one hand. I don't think I've ever been part of a team where there was less team spirit and less support and leadership from the person who was in charge of the team.
So Comyn, not a good place to be, you're saying?
No, I think there are probably quite a few ministers who say they love the job of being the minister for their department and they love delivering on what the departments are trying to achieve, but actually Comyn, not a happy place.
The last desperate act of a captain going down with the ship? Or an incredible leap into a life raft by the Chief Minister? No doubt we will discover the answer to that in around 9 months' time. The wonderful charity Beach Buddies feels like it's been around forever, yet it's just celebrating its 20th anniversary. To mark this, it was a featured Charity of the Week on the wonderful 1 to 3 programme with CDH, and founder of the charity, the indefatigable Bill Dale, outlined how it all began. Like all great ideas, by turning a simple thought into action and then having the drive to push it forward.
The Charity of the Week. Please tell us your name and charity.
I'm Bill Dale and I am the founder of Beach Buddies.
How did the charity start and what is its purpose?
It started when I was walking the dogs on the beach in 2006 at Ballaugh. There was 5 dogs and 2 humans, and we were walking down by the sea, as everybody does, and the dogs were bringing pieces of plastic to us from up on the coastline. So we went up to see where they were getting it from, and in amongst the rushes there was unbelievable quantities of plastic and junk which is lying there, some 20 years old. So the following weekend we went back with some bags and litter pickers, and we thought we'll just clean this up, we'll sort it out one weekend. 6 weekends later we're still there. But we did clean that beach, and that was how it started, and it's never stopped since then.
Tell us about your team.
As I say, we started with just 2 people, and to be honest, it was 2 people for quite a little while, and then we asked for help, and schools wanted to get involved, and companies wanted to get involved, and then we asked for volunteers, and on the first occasion 48 people came, and the following weekend in the north another 40 odd people came, so we had nearly 100 within a fortnight. And today the number of volunteers stands at over 21,000 different volunteers since we started. It's nearly 22,000 different volunteers. Being a journalist, I've kept the statistics since day one, thank goodness, because nobody would believe you. And I've taken photographs to prove it as well. I would say 60-70% are children in schools. So all the children that have been to school since 2006, that means that everybody in school has had a chance to go beach cleaning. So that's where we've got the numbers from, of new volunteers. And of course they spread the word around the world. Fantastic.
Who is the charity for? Everybody.
I mean, you know what it's really for? It's for animals and the environment. And it's for everybody, If you look at how the Isle of Man has changed in those 20 years, I mean, it is unbelievable, really. Those beaches, as I say, were knee-deep in plastic when we started. And now when you go out, we run events all the time. And when you go to somewhere like Ballaugh now, we went there a few weeks ago, you could hardly find anything. What a difference, And the great thing is that everybody's bought into it with just by going out and taking a bag and taking a handful of items home. I've got lots of people who never come to our sessions on a Sunday. Some very good friends of mine in Kirkmichael, Ballaugh area, who go out 2 or 3 times a week, take a bag with them and put the rubbish in the bin. Absolutely perfect. That's what it's all about. And it's spreading around the world. People realise that if they can do it in a little place like the Isle of Man, then why don't we have a go somewhere else? And it's been a real success, yeah.
The Charity of the Week, brought to you by Kell Properties.
You only have to walk around the island's beaches now to see how much effect the charity has had over the years. As clean as anywhere. Proof of people power when you have a person like Bill to bring the people together. An event which marked another notable anniversary last year, the Solway Harvester tragedy. The scallop dredger went down with the loss of all hands on the 11th of January 2000. Journalist and Manx Radio presenter Dave Moore presented a documentary on Manx Radio last year to mark 25 years since the tragedy. This January, he had more, at times harrowing stories direct from the mouths of some of those involved in the painful and difficult operation to recover all the bodies of the crew from the wreck on the seabed. As we heard from then Director of Harbours, Captain Mike Brew, and Detective Chief Inspector Dudley Butt.
Listening into some of the divers' conversations was incredibly eye-opening. There were things that you could only imagine were actually trying to picture the divers searching inside the vessel. Beggars belief. Really does what they managed to achieve.
Eventually, we were coming to a bit of an impasse, and one of the divers from the boat, who I believe was a very religious man from the Orkneys, I've never met him, I don't even know his name, he said to the crew, I would like to go down and I'll get them out, get the bodies out. Couldn't raise the boat, but he said, I'll get the bodies out. Big discussion. We had a control room of at Home Affairs. We're all sitting there. Big decision had to be made. This is risky, a man on his own going down to get the bodies out. Do we allow it? And we eventually agreed, yes, let him do it. And he went down to get the bodies. We already knew there were 3 in the upper decks, which we'd seen, and they'd been sort of tied safe and secured. There's a video of this, and I've seen the video. And the diver goes down, and he goes down into this crew quarters at the very bottom. When he goes in, you can see three lads there. One is wearing a Celtic shirt, a fellow, you can see the Celtic shirt. He goes in, it's quite clear, and as he moves around it gets a bit muddy, so the picture fades. But he found three people, so there was still one missing, because there were 7 on board. We get a message back, he's found 6 altogether, and there's still one missing, and that was our worst nightmare, really. And he said, the message came back, I'm going to search the engine area now, the engine rooms, and I'll come back again. And he searched the rest of the boat, still no sign. He goes back into the crew quarters again where these 3 are to have another look. And doesn't find anything else. And as he comes out, you can see on the video, he climbs a little metal ladder to get out of that crew quarters. And you see a hand flop out from behind the ladder. And the 7th man, it was a lad called Wesley Jolly, only just turned 17. He was stuck behind the ladder. And he hadn't seen him when he walked in. It was behind him. When he walked out the second time, this hand flopped out as if to say, I'm here. And he'd found the 7. And we got the message that all 7 had been found. And that was a huge relief, because to say to the family, we've got 6 of your family, but not 1, it would have been devastating for them.
The diver that eventually found the last crew member, he probably was beyond his limits, actually, but would not give up. So it was incredibly emotional when they found the last one. They got them all out, and that was huge relief. And you could tell that even in the professional, sort of almost bland communications that we're hearing. You could tell the emotion was very much affecting everybody. A diver would tell you more than I know, but at a certain depth, they're time limited as to how long they can actually work at that level and not get the bends, as they're commonly known. They were pushing the limits of what was safe and possible, but they were very determined to find them.
And you have to say that the divers from the well servicer, under the instruction of Kendrick Halsall, did a remarkable job, not a very nice job, going aboard and recovering the bodies which were brought aboard the CS well servicer.
I then went into town where I knew the families were in town shopping, in effect, and I saw the coach they were using outside the Sefton. It was driven by McGee. He used to play for Milloo, a lad called McGee. I forget his name now. And I said, where are they all? He was with the coach, and he said, they're all in town shopping, they're coming back at 2. So I thought, right. And I went to the Sefton Hotel and I said, please, can I have a room? I need to, urgent room. They came back at 2 and we got them into the atrium. The atrium had been built by then, into a room just off that, organised coffee, etc. And there was myself, Mike Duke, my sergeant, Alan Bell, who was then in charge of Home Affairs. He was the Minister of Home Affairs. And Will Greenhow, who was the accountant or the treasurer, later Chief Secretary. And we sat there, we got them all sat down and we said, we've got some sort of, didn't quite say good news, bad news, but we've got some good news that we've found the bodies and they're all there. We've got them all. And I've got to say, as I told the story, it was like bad news, good news. As I told the good news, they're all there. I started to cry, as did all of them, as did Alan Bell, as did my sergeant. He was not prone to crying. It was so emotional, the most emotional moment of my career, to say to them, we've got them all out safe.
A hard listen, perhaps, but an incredible story of great skill, dedication, bravery from all those involved in an operation which brought some closure, at least, to a tragic story for the families of those who were lost. And one of the Manx government's finest hours when it comes to making the right decision. Love it, hate it, or have no idea about it, artificial intelligence, or AI, is becoming almost as ubiquitous in our daily lives as the mobile phone, which ironically is rarely used to actually make a phone call these days. For many, it's been readily substituted for its forerunner, superficial intelligence, which one could argue can almost be as dangerous. In recent days, we've heard two sides of the coin here on Manx Radio. Andy Wint took the Mannon line down to King William's College on the 20th of January as part of his ongoing programme of taking the Evergreen Phone-In and Opinions programme out into the community and around the island's secondary schools.
What do you think of the use of AI in social media?
I think it's a really good advancement in technology that can be used in really good ways. I just think it is abused by a lot of people to do things such as like in academic situations.
Do you ever use AI for your homework?
I don't use it to do my homework for me as much. I might use it for things such as like structuring of long writing and stuff like that. But I also had another point on AI, which I think people are using it to make these artificial generated images and videos, which I think is a large issue, and it can become really dangerous, especially to young people. And so I think there should be more awareness on that. And you can see on things such as TikTok, they've started to do that. They've started to label content as AI generated. So I think that's also really important to raise awareness about the dangers of AI.
Cleo?
I was just going to talk about the use of AI in social media, more for the fact that it's been detrimental to people like artists or creativity, as people are really, like June said, abusing it. And they're using it to generate these images and then they're posting them all over social media. And artists who have already been producing these pictures and they've been posting them across social media for long before AI has become popular. It's taking away from, I would say, their work, because now when you see something that might look like their art, you're questioning, oh, is this AI? Oh, this is AI. Let me not support it, because there is a huge movement online to boycott AI, Many people don't agree with it. So now artists aren't getting the recognition they deserve when it comes to artwork that may look like AI,
The people behind AI will tell us all that AI is the future and AI is going to be doing everything in the future.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
You know what? No, I don't agree, because there are certain things that, you need the human touch to it. It can't just all be done by artificial intelligence. Like, let's say you go to the doctor. Do you want an AI or artificial intelligence diagnosing your ailments? No, I would want a human who's researched this over and over to diagnose me. But I would say certain jobs are definitely at risk for being taken over by AI, and I think that is a big issue.
Have you ever used AI for your homework?
For research, yes. Have I ever actually submitted something that was like made by AI, no, because I just don't agree with that.
June?
It was kind of another point back on relating AI to social media. I think an existing issue on social media that has been for a while is the exposure of children and their exposure to inappropriate content. I think AI feeds into this, especially with this kind of arising issue of things called, I think they're called deepfakes. And I think it just can be really, really damaging for these young people who are exposed to them and who are maybe think it's okay to make these kind of things, because it can really ruin someone's life, I think.
Now we're getting to it.
The views of some of the students at King William's College, all fully switched on to AI, as one might imagine. A few days later, on the lunchtime phone-in, we heard a different point of view from a caller who was struggling with modern tech and was slightly confused with just what AI was.
And Diane's with us now. Hello, Diane.
Hello. I was just listening to Sue, and I can quite agree with her. The people that were born in the 40s, 50s and mid-60s are being left behind with technology that we cannot get to grips with. I got the Post Office Review, and I was going to send that in. That is completely beyond what I could understand. I couldn't fill it in because it was all go online, do this, go and get a computer. Why, when we're in our 70s and 80s, why should we bow and kowtow and go and buy a computer to struggle to do it? I just refuse to do it.
Have you? Okay, but
I think we're being left behind, and we're not being considered.
What would you like to happen, Diane?
Well, I think for the people that can't, there should be more understanding that people don't want to use a computer or can't use a computer. I mean, everything is go online, do this, do that, and it's all online, or go podcast. I mean, I don't know what a podcast is. And I mean, I had to ask my daughter the other day what AI was. I thought it was artificial insemination. And it was artificial something else. And I'm sorry, I'm not being stupid. It's just because I cannot take it in. And I just don't understand it. And there's other people. And I mean, one MHK very naughtily a few years ago, when there was a thing, said that it's about time we went and learned. Well, why should we have to go at 70 and 80 and 90, go and learn new things?
It might sound comical, but of course it's a real issue for not all for certain. There are some silver surfers who could put 20-somethings to shame, but certainly a sizable proportion of the island's older community. Or most of my friends, as I sometimes call them. Quite what Diane would think if she'd heard the students saying they use AI to help them get their homework done wasn't clarified. Just as well. The Man in Line, on every day between 12 and 1, all episodes available as a podcast. It is the year of the Manx language, of course, and a recent Ireland Live special caught my ear. With that in mind, it was about the Oran Song Manin, a song for man, a competition to find an original song in Manx which will go forward to represent us in the Eurovision of the Celtic world, the Pan-Celtic Festival in Ireland. Christy DeHaven spoke to some of the movers and shakers in the event, and towards the end of the programme revealed who was going forward to this year's Pan-Celtic at Easter.
You may remember at the start of this programme I mentioned that this year's Oran Son Manning competition happened just a few days ago. Phil Gorn was there.
I'm Cara Rose. Laura Rose.
And I'm Dave Rose. And collectively you are...
Shan Skull.
And you've just won the Oran Son Manning competition. Laura, I think you wrote the song, did you?
Yeah, I wrote most of it, yeah. A little bit of help from Dave. And Bob Carswell translated it as well. Well, some of it. I wrote some of it in Manx and some in English.
And Dave, what's your input into this?
No, I mean it's a family effort really, but I'm generally quite good at coming up with random lyrics and filling in blanks and generally augmenting what's there. So it's we jointly wrote the song. So
you were singing and playing the violin and doing it exceptionally well.
Thank you.
Good luck to the Rolls. Laura, I believe, the only person to have won the Pan-Celtic for the Isle of Man, so she has some pedigree in this. Ai vai Eru, I think it is, to all of them. You can catch that podcast, of course, via the Manx Radio website. Just go to Island Life Specials. That's more or less it, I think, for this rewind. Thanks for listening. We must do it again sometime. And life being what it is here, it probably won't be that far away. Though I really don't like to dwell on what Chris Williams has been up to with Ben during their morning banter. Can you hear me, Chris?
No, I've got mangoomy ears.
Oh, that's never good.
And,
never good.
It's just horrible. Can't hear a thing.
Thank you.